A lot of people ask me, hey, Phil, if I want to retire at 55, is that even realistic? I've saved, I've invested, and I'm just ready to be done. Is it possible? And here's the surprising thing. It's not as simple as looking at your account balance. I've sat across from people with $2 million who still couldn't confidently retire at 55, and others with much less who could. So why is that? Because there's one factor that changes everything. It's not the market. It's not even how much you've saved. It's how you plan for the stretch of time that your money has to last when you retire that early. Retiring at 55 sounds fantastic, but that one decision changes the math of retirement more than almost anything else. Hi, I'm Phil Gallant, president of the Optimist Group and author of Get Me to Zero. And on this channel, we talk about strategies to reduce taxes and protect your income and create a retirement plan that actually works in the real world. If you find these topics helpful, make sure to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you'd like to see how this could work in your own retirement plan, book a call with me using the link in the description below. Today we're going to talk about the dream of retiring at 55 and exactly why this one factor can make or break that dream. Point 1 is bridging the income gap. Now, when you retire at 55, you're stepping away from work years before most of your safety nets even start. Think about it. Social Security can start as early as 62, but that's still a 7-year gap. And if you plan to delay your Social Security until 67 or even 70 for a higher benefit, the gap is even longer. So where does the money come from in those first 7, 10, maybe even 15 years? Well, it has to come from your savings. And this is why retiring at 55 is a different challenge than retiring at, say, 65. Those early years become a bridge period, and you need a very specific plan to cover it. The withdrawals during that period can feel a lot heavier because you're spending down without any replacement income. And there's another risk that ties directly into this. It's called sequence of return risk. If the market drops in those early years when you're pulling money out of a shrinking portfolio, that combination can have a lasting effect on how long your money is going to last. This is why a clear income bridge using cash reserves, safe assets, or even guaranteed income sources becomes critical for anyone looking to retire at age 55. The second point is healthcare costs. These are a hidden budget buster that most people underestimate. If you retire at 65, Medicare steps in and covers a big part of your healthcare needs. But if you retire at 55, then you have a 10-year gap where healthcare is 100% on you. For a 55-year-old couple, private health insurance or exchange-based coverage can easily cost $15,000 to $25,000 per year, and that's before you add in deductibles and out-of-pocket expenses. So over a 10-year period, that's $200,000 to $300,000 just for healthcare premiums. And here's the catch. As you withdraw money from your retirement accounts to pay for those premiums, those withdrawals may also trigger higher taxes because they count as income. And this is why planning ahead, sometimes setting aside a separate healthcare bucket or funding an HSA while you're still working, can make a huge difference. Point 3 is your withdrawal strategy. Now, this becomes critical when you retire early. You can't just pick a number and withdraw blindly. You need to know which accounts you should pull from first. In addition to that, how much you're going to leave in your tax-deferred accounts like your 401k and your IRA is another issue. It also, you have to know when it makes sense to do Roth conversions in those gap years before Social Security and RMDs begin. For example, if you have taxable accounts, tax-deferred accounts, and Roth accounts, the order that you tap into those really does matter. A poor withdrawal sequence can cost you tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over a 30-plus year retirement. On the other hand, a smart withdrawal plan, especially if you retire at 55, can actually reduce your taxes and stretch your savings much further. This is where I often say the strategy is just as important as the size of your portfolio. Now, point 4 is really critical. It's lifestyle clarity, and it's non-negotiable. This fourth factor is one of the biggest reasons early retirement either succeeds or fails. When people tell me they want to retire at 55, I always ask, what exactly are you retiring to? Most people focus on the idea of retiring from something. I'm retiring from work, from stress, from my commute. But they don't always think through what they're retiring to, and here's why this matters so much. The cost of retirement isn't just your fixed bills. It's about how you plan to spend your time. If you plan to retire at 55, chances are you're healthy, you're energetic, and you're ready to make up for some lost time. For many people, those first 10 years are the most expensive. Let me give you a picture of what often happens. You retire at 55 and suddenly you have time to travel. You finally remodel the kitchen or the house. You help kids with weddings, grandkids, or a down payment on a home. Now, none of these things are wrong. In fact, they're what make retirement fulfilling. But if you don't plan for them ahead of time, you can end up drawing more from your portfolio in those early years than you expected, and that can throw off the math of an early retirement. This is why a written lifestyle plan is so important. So here are a few questions I always walk through with clients. Are you planning to travel? If so, for how many years and at what level? A trip to Europe every year for the first 10 years is going to be expensive, and it has to be in the plan. Are you downsizing or upgrading your home? Now, moving to a smaller, less expensive place frees up cash, but moving to your dream home could mean a larger mortgage and higher taxes. Do you plan to help kids or grandkids financially? Now, this includes things like weddings, tuition, even a home purchase. What does a normal week look like for you in retirement? Will you spend your time on dining out, playing golf, doing some hobbies, memberships? The clearer your answers are, the more accurately you can build a spending plan that lines up with your resources. And this is the opposite of just winging it and hoping it all works out. Without this level of clarity, even a $2 million portfolio can feel uncertain. The earlier you retire, the more these lifestyle decisions matter because there is far less room for error when your money needs to last 35 or 40 years. So, can you retire at 55? Well, the answer is yes, it's possible, but only if you plan for the realities that come with leaving work that early. And here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. It's not just about having a big number on your statement. It's about making sure that your savings will last through every challenge that early retirement brings. Let's recap what you need to get right. First of all, it's the income gap. How are you going to cover those 7 to 12 years before Social Security or maybe even a pension begins? Second is healthcare. How you'll pay for insurance and medical expenses before Medicare. Withdrawal strategy, which accounts to tap, in what order, and how to minimize taxes across those 30 or 40 years. And finally, and this is important, lifestyle clarity, knowing exactly what you want your early retirement to look like so you don't outspend your plan in the first few years. When you put all these four pieces together in a written plan, you take the fear and uncertainty out of early retirement. So instead of wondering, do we have enough? You can say, we know exactly how this works year by year. And here's what I've learned after working with hundreds of families over the years. Retiring at 55 without a plan leads to stress, but retiring at 55 with a plan leads to freedom. Because at that point, it's not just a dream, it's a structured strategy. So if you're serious about retiring early or just making sure your retirement plan is set up to work for you and not against you, then we should talk. Click the link in the description below to book a free consultation, and I'll show you how to structure your income, manage your taxes, and create a clear path forward so that you can enjoy those years without second guessing yourself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.